Ladies and gentlemen, Barry C here with another cryptocurrency video, and the market is slowly turning around. We are getting ready for that next leg up, and that is going to be the alt season that we've all been waiting for. Now, what does that mean for XRP? Well, XRP, first and foremost, has to hit that $4 price point. Then once it does, it's a clear path forward, moving upwards towards the $10 to $20 price point. Now, could it go higher? Absolutely. There's always potential. There's always possibility. It depends on how volatile and how much volatility comes into that alt season, because we typically see 93% of the crypto market absolutely go parabolic during an alt season. We see prices that far exceed all expectations. And we are going to see XRP hit some very exciting new all-time highs. But look, ladies and gents, not financial advice, but that is within the confines of an alt season. We also have to consider the fact that XRP is the only crypto that currently exists that has the potential of both an alt season rally and a utility run. Obviously, those would be separate, but they're both going to have their own exciting type of price action. Now, interestingly enough, I've seen some comments of people talking or suggesting, why don't I talk about other finance-based cryptos like XLM or XDC? Well, I've done some videos on both of them, on both XDC and XLM. But the reason why I talk about XRP is because it was the first finance-based crypto. It was the first crypto to come along and say, we don't want to be separate from the banks. We don't want to be separate from the way the system runs now. We want to work within the existing financial framework. We actually want to tick all the boxes to be successful and to be compliant when it comes to regulations, when it comes to legislation, so that we can actually see XRP adopted and utilized into the way we conduct finance. It's not about being totally separate from what exists right now. No other crypto was even considering doing that until XRP came along. And look, let's be honest, we could see a variety of cryptos partner with XRP and Ripple to help in running the financial space. But first and foremost, it's going to come down to XRP. It's going to come down to getting the green light for banks and financial institutions to actually adopt blockchain technology. Once they get that adoption, they are going to turn to the crypto that they have been trialing since 2017 until about 2020, and that crypto is XRP. Banks haven't trialed XLM, they haven't trialed XDC, not at the same level that XRP has been trialed. And let's keep in mind, XRP was specifically created to be utilized by banks and utilized in the financial system to transfer anything of value. Let's just say money from point A to point B almost instantaneously for a fraction of a fee, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and also minimizing currency exchange rate fees, minimizing handling fees. Now, ladies and gents, this doesn't mean that I don't feel that XDC and XLM don't have their place and don't have the potential to do amazing things, but in all honesty, and let's be realistic, XRP will lead the way. Like I said, banks and financial institutions haven't trialed any other crypto at the scale that XRP has been trialed. But let's also be really honest about it, that there's never been a utility run in the history of crypto. And I've been mentioning this over the last couple of videos, but I think it's really worth mentioning again, because a lot of people are tied to these narratives that they're not going to see any price movement for XRP, that there's no way it could hit these higher price points. And the reality is there's no blueprint for any crypto in the history of crypto that reflects a utility run. You haven't seen a bank or any financial institution in the past go, yep, here is our announcement, we're actively utilizing Bitcoin or Ethereum or some other crypto. There's no blueprint, there's no historical data for that. So we don't know how a crypto will perform in a utility run, but we can make an educated guess. And so when I look at XRP, I look at the only crypto that came out and said, we want to willingly work with banks and financial institutions. Despite at the time in 2017, every crypto, especially Bitcoin, was coming out and saying, well, we want to move away from traditional finance. We want crypto to be something entirely different. Here's XRP going, no, or working with Ripple as well, going, no, we want to be utilized by banks. We want to tick all the boxes to make sure that we can see mass adoption of XRP in all the banks and all the financial institutions around the globe. And then from 2017 until now, making sure that there's partnerships and making sure all the necessary steps are taken to see that mass adoption. And once banks and financial institutions actually greenlight that utilization of blockchain and crypto technology, they're going to utilize the crypto that has set out from day one to see that utilization, that is XRP. And so now you've got to think about daily, weekly, monthly, yearly transactions all around the world from every bank, every financial institution. You've got to think about millions and billions and trillions of dollars flowing directly through and into XRP. Now, what would that do to the price? We're no longer talking about a retail price point for XRP. We're not talking about $3 or $4 or $5. We're talking about a much, much higher price point per XRP. And then once all that money flows in, this is the main point that people seem to not understand. Once banks and financial institutions go, this is the way we're going to conduct finance, and we're going to click a button or press a thing or flip a switch or however you want to portray it symbolically. But essentially, once that happens, that's the way the financial system now runs. You don't get a second chance to buy cheap XRP. You don't get a chance to fix the mistake of fumbling your XRP opportunity. Essentially, banks and financial institutions will go, this is the way we're going to run it, whether it's overtly or covertly when it comes to crypto, whether it's extremely obvious that you're utilizing blockchain technology, or whether you're sitting there going, oh, I can transfer money from one place to another and it's showing up almost instantaneously when it used to take maybe 24 or 48 hours. And on top of that, there's minimal fees where there used to be a much higher fee attached to it, and the exchange rates no longer exist. Whatever it may be, your financial experience, your financial transaction process is going to be a lot more streamlined, a lot more simplified, and that's all going to be because of XRP. And like I said, whether that's obvious, whether it's more covert, whatever it may be, that's just the way the new financial system is going to be. And we will see that reflected in the price. And once it skyrockets up, there's no going back. And that's the thing that people don't seem to understand. People are so tied up in this idea of 4-year cycles. They are so used to having Bitcoin halving events and then seeing a bull run and then getting to an alt season and then realizing at the height of an alt season how badly so many people fumble these bags, whether it's XRP, whether it's another crypto, and then people go, well, at least I have the bear market. At least the market's going to do a 50 or 60% correction, and then I'll have that opportunity to buy into a crypto cheaply. Only after the fact. It's only after when they see the price of XRP or another crypto go parabolic, then people see the value. Happened with Bitcoin in 2017 when we saw the first alt season ever, and Bitcoin was suddenly worth tens of thousands of dollars. Then everybody wanted it. And that's the exact same thing that'll happen with XRP. Only this time when XRP goes parabolic and we're talking like $1,000, maybe even more, well, then we're not going to see the typical 60, 70% correction when it comes to XRP. Because effectively, once you have that amount of money flowing directly into XRP, once you actually have that level of utility, XRP is going to decouple from the typical retail financial space. You're not going to have the typical 4-year cycle when it comes to XRP anymore. Essentially, XRP is going to exist in a class of its own. And look, this is not financial advice. This is just common sense and my perspective. Having been in crypto since 2016, I've seen the way the market moves. I've seen how it grows. I've seen the obvious fact that we haven't seen a utility run before. We've never seen banks or financial institutions essentially greenlight the adoption of blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies. So obviously this is all speculative, but there has to be a calculated common sense to it. And obviously once the entire world is utilizing one specific crypto and that specific blockchain in how they conduct finance, they're not going to pick something that's volatile, that essentially it could be crashed by having somebody tweet about it or post a meme or whatever it may be. They're going to pick a digital asset, a technology that can be utilized, and it will be strong, and it can actually run the world financial system and the world's finances, whether it's individual transactions, whether it's at a governmental level, all the different areas of finance, whether it's trade finance, whether it's business or government transfers or loans or whatever it may be, whether it's transfers from one currency to another, whatever it may be, XRP has to be able to handle that and perform appropriately. And that's why when all that money runs through XRP, it's going to hit a much higher price point, like $1,000, maybe even more. And it's effectively going to stabilize at that price point. Because once you get up there, once all that money is just flowing through, that's just the way we conduct finance now. And that's what I mean by it's going to exist outside of the typical 4-year cycle. And a lot of people are going to get to that point where they go, wow, now I'm going to have to pay $1,000 per XRP. And that's just the way it is. And there's a lot of people who are going to be filled with regret and frustration because they've had years and years to accumulate XRP cheaply and they haven't done it for whatever reason. And this is why I post my daily content. This is why I make that content, because I have discovered XRP in 2017 when it was worth less than 1 cent a coin. And I'm sitting here now around $3, $3.10, $3.20, and I still think it's an amazing entry point. I think we have really exciting times ahead of us over the next year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. We're going to see amazing price points for XRP. And that's not financial advice, ladies and gents. It's just me, a guy who's been in crypto since 2016, making my content. Not financial advice, just saying this is an amazing, unique opportunity. And it's the decisions that we make right now that are going to pay off in the short term, mid-term, and long term. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And if you're curious about other cryptos I hold outside of XRP, consider becoming a Patreon. Click the link in the description below, head across to my Patreon page, and consider becoming a Barry C VIP. There you'll have access to all the cryptos I hold, my portfolios, as well as my buy, sell, and take profit signals in real time.